Out Loud, coming to you live from 500 Pearl Street once again, live in front of the Diddy trial, in front of the Diddy court. We had a crazy day. Strap in. I have so much to tell y'all. There was so much going on today that we didn't even get a lunch break. That is why I'm coming at you guys 4 o'clock. Normally we get at least half day around 12 or 1 o'clock to get out. The judge was on a roll and he just kept people locked in and keep on going. We literally had to stay in court all day. I had 2 breaks, but I have so much to tell you guys, so much to keep you guys up to date. What's up, Jay Cash? What's up, Natasha? Miss Molly, come on in here, guys. Woo! We got a lot to go over. Wow. Huge day. Let me find where my notes are. Wow. As I told you guys this morning, the prosecution finished up some quick cross-examination and they got down to business today. Let me tell y'all, okay? Woo! All right, hold on. I got to go through my notes here while you guys load in. Cheryl, what's up? Joyce, what's up? Here we go. Hold on. Give me a second here. Plan B. Okay, this was yesterday. Guys, there was so much that went on today. Diddy actually got a chance to speak to the judge. Diddy spoke up in court today. We have a half day tomorrow. Let me tell y'all, man. Hold on. Where did we take off to today? Sorry, guys. Hold on. Where did we start today? Hold on a second here. Hold on. Oh, yes, this was yesterday. What up, y'all? What up? Okay, here we go. Woo! Yo, sorry. I had no lunch today. I'm a little off my rocker, and notes are going to be a little bit all over the place today. Woo! Let me tell you, there's a lot that went down. Okay, let me tell you guys, because every time I come on here, anyways, everyone's saying, hi, what up, Trent? What up? Get to it. Someone's like, Jack says, get to it, dude. I'm very sorry. Sorry about that, Jack. All right, Jack says, get to it, Trent. All right, so as always, I'm going to take you through the process of the day. There's a lot of stuff that went on, but you guys always hate when I jump around, so I'm going to take you from the morning all the way till the afternoon, all right? Oh my gosh, Miss Molly, thank you. Starting off with the super chat. Those are the energies I need. Thank you, Miss Molly. Okay, so the court started off today like they always do before they get, I laugh when you skip my comments merely because you cannot pronounce my name. Yeah, sorry, I don't know, M-B-U-H-L-E, I have no idea. Put it in the chat of how to pronounce it, sorry. You know me, I'm bad with names. All right, so every day before the jury comes in, the judge asks the prosecution, hey, is there anything that you guys want to get to? Is there anything that we could do before the jury comes in? Damon with the super chat, thank you, Damon, respect, thank you. So yes, they come on here and they say, hey, is there anything that we could discuss before we bring in the jury? So what the defense started off with was 8 entries into evidence. They started off the day with 8 entries into evidence. And like always, y'all know what evidence is in this case. Like I come and tell you every day, text messages. There was 8 text messages that the defense wanted to get in. I'm going to read them for you quickly. Then I'm going to get to the rest of the day, okay? But they're very important because they're text messages from Cassie. We've been hearing a lot about Jane for this whole week and a lot about last week. These are text messages from Cassie that the government would like for the jury and for us, the public, not to see. However, they were up for debate and the jury ruled, and I'll let you know on each one they ruled, okay? So it started off, the defense already had a win because the defense says, hey, there's 8 pieces of evidence that we would like to try to submit. And the government was like, yeah, we object to all of them. The judge asked them, okay, prosecution, why are you rejecting? You know what the prosecution said why they want to reject these 8 text messages from Cassie? They said, we're rejecting, sir, because these are explicit messages about SEX and we feel like they are very repetitive. What are you talking about? The prosecution has some nerve saying that the defense is being repetitive. The prosecution has used every single ounce of every single second of every single day for the past 6 weeks and have been repetitive upon repetitive upon repetitive. I told you guys yesterday that a security guard who has been in the same courtroom for 25 years said this is the most boring, most repetitive case in history, and the prosecution is really gonna sit up there and be like, Judge, we do not want to allow these 8 text messages from Cassie because they're repetitive. Crazy work. But hey, like whenever the defense asks for anything crazy, I always say they're just doing their job, okay? So the government tried to put as much messages. The judge said the government has tried to put on as many messages as possible. I think it is a little bit unfair to ask for the defense not to do the same, okay? These text messages are confusing to Cassie about freak-offs or not. So that's what the prosecution is saying. He said, kind of blurs the line if these text messages have to do with freak-offs or not. You guys will understand as I get to it, but that's the prosecution saying, these text messages we're about to hear, we don't really know if they have to do with freak-offs or not. It could be a little misleading. We don't want the jury to hear it. The judge says, I will be the judge of that, okay? Again, this is all before trial starts, okay? The first text message is exhibit number 1136R. Cassie says to, Diddy asks Cassie, what are you going to do? And Cassie replies to him, I'm going to be your little freak. Not too much into it, but it lets the jury know that Diddy is asking Cassie what she wants to do. That goes to SCX trafficking, force, fraud, and coercion. They have a text message where Diddy is saying, Cassie, what do you want to do? And Cassie is the one saying, yo, I'm going to be your little freak. I'll let you guys know, I won't keep you on a cliffhanger. The judge says, you know what? That is admissible. There's grounds. It shows that some sort of evidence in some way that she isn't being coerced, that she herself wants to be a freak because Diddy asked her if she wants to be a freak. The next text message was evidence 1149.5. Cassie says, laugh out loud. I just bought baby oil at the store because I couldn't resist myself. Again, this is unprovoked, okay? Unprovoked. Cassie's just sending Diddy a text message. Just imagine your girl is like, hey, what up, babe? I just was walking by the store and I saw baby oil on sale. I bought it. Again, that is showing some sort of evidence to the defense that Cassie, unprovoked, uncoerced, unfraudulently, is literally walking by a store and wants baby oil. Y'all know what they use baby oil for. It's showing and leading to the jury that Cassie is down for the freak-offs and she's down for the baby oil and she's just buying it on her own. Diddy won that argument as well. That was able to be admissible to the jury. The second one, evidence 1026, Cassie texts to Diddy, I took 2 DRUGs and I'm loving my high. I'm enjoying it. She said another word that I can't say on YouTube. But again, unprovoked, the prosecution has been trying to tell the jury and us that Diddy uses DRUGs with his girls. He uses them to get them to do freak-offs, to get them to not be in the right state of mind, and it's easier to have them force, fraud, and coerced to do freak-offs. Now, again, unprovoked text message, yo, I'm just here chilling, popping DRUGs, and I'm feeling great. Things are about to kick in. I am loving it. It's showing, again, Cassie is unprovoked. The judge said that is admissible. You're allowed to use that. And stay tuned till the end of the day. I will let you know how the defense team used these text messages to the jury. You're gonna be shocked to find out how they use these text messages. But like I said, I don't wanna spoil it. I like to take you guys through my day. Exactly how I experience, I come out here and give you guys the experience so you can feel like you're in the courtroom with me. And for those of you who might be new to the channel, I am sitting not in the overflow room, not outside. I'm not reading this from transcripts or a Twitter account. I am in the actual courtroom, sitting one bench away from Diddy's mom, family, and sons, and around 10 feet away from Diddy every day, okay? So this is firsthand accountability, okay? So, the next piece of evidence was 1126. Listen to this. This one was very interesting. There was a freak-off that Diddy canceled because Cassie wasn't feeling well. Now, in the text message, this is where it's a little confusing. Listen carefully. The text message was from Diddy. It says, I canceled our plans for the night because you need rest. Then Cassie writes back to Diddy, no, I don't want to cancel. I want you. I want to be with you. And Diddy says, no, you're too high off of DRUGs. You are not well. You need to rest. Why the defense really wanted to get this in is this is a huge text message for the defense, because the government has been saying that Diddy has been using DRUGs to coerce Cassie and Jane and other women to have freak-offs. And if they have a text message that shows that Diddy is saying, yo, I canceled our plans for the night, you're too high off of DRUGs, it shows that Diddy is caring and he's not trying to coerce them. Now, the judge was hung up on the sentence, I canceled our plans for tonight. Now, Diddy's defense team says, we have reason to believe that those plans were a freak-off. The prosecution gets up and says, objection, Your Honor. How do we know that he's canceling a freak-off? They could have had plans to go to a restaurant, plans somewhere. So they went higher up in the text message and they read it down, and it's for the defense. That's why they have these arguments before the jury sees it. Diddy's defense team has to show that I canceled our plans for the night meant a freak-off for it to be admissible. The judge was a little bit on the fence, so he said, you know what, go to the next piece of evidence and we'll get back to this. So again, like I said, I'm not gonna tell you, I'll let you know when he comes back to this. So they go to the next one. 1131. Diddy says, you think you can freak off without taking DRUGs? Cassie says, yes. I think this is a huge piece of evidence. By the way, like I've said to you guys almost every day when I come out here, this is, I feel a new form of court, a new form that I feel like the future, it's going to get even worse. That you don't even need people here anymore. You don't need the victims here to testify. 90% of the testimony is coming from text messages. I know I'm taking a little sidebar here for a second, but KK, they were able to get information from KK without KK having to testify, without her giving immunity, because they have they had a mandate to be able to take her phone and use her text messages in the court. Having these text messages from Cassie without Cassie having to be here to testify is huge, really, really big. Just put an asterisk. Be careful what you be careful what you text to your friends or girlfriends. It could be used against you in a court of law one day. Be careful out there, y'all. All right, let me get back to business. So they found a text message, Diddy asking, yo, can you do freak-offs without being high? Cassie said, yes. Again, very, very, very important piece of evidence, because the prosecution has been telling us for the past 6 weeks, what he does is that he finds these girls, Cassie, Jane, has them take some DRUGs. He kind of pressures them to do that. And once they do, that's when he's forced fraud and coercion. I want you to do freak-offs, do this, and they're apparently not in their right mind. He is saying, yo, can you do it without being on DRUGs? Cassie says yes. The judge says, that is great evidence, that is fair, he admits it. Okay, here is the next one, 1134. Diddy says, what do you want? And then Cassie answers, my bank account needs to be right, the right team. The prosecution stands up and says, objection, this should not be allowed in. We don't know what this means. And I question you, what does that mean? If somebody sends you a text and says, what do you want? And they answer back, my bank account needs to be right, the right team. It lends to financial motive. It seems as if she's asking him for money, but what is the grounds? What is the basis? Is she saying she wants money for a dress? Is she saying she wants money for a freak-off? The defense was not able to prove what the basis was. You can't just have a text that seems like it could be something, and if you don't have a basis for what it's for, then it becomes hearsay and not admissible. If she would have said, if Diddy would have asked her, what do you want? And Cassie would have said, my bank account needs to be right to continue to do more freak-offs, that would be direct. It would be like Cassie is asking for money to do freak-offs. But because there was no mention of freak-offs before or after the text, Diddy lost. That was the first one that he lost. That text was not allowed to be administered. The jury did not hear that text. The next one is 1145A. Diddy says, I want to go to couples counseling, and Cassie says, no, I don't want to do that. We don't need that. I love you. This is another one that Diddy lost. Diddy's defense team is trying to make the jury feels sympathetic towards Diddy, right? He's not this mean guy. He's not force, fraud, and coercion. He's loving. Think about any guy out there. If you were to sit down and talk with your boy or talk with a girl or whatever and say, yo, things are going well with my girl. I want things to work out so badly. I want to go to couples counseling. That is a positive. That is a positive for whoever wants to do the counseling. It shows that the person wants to work. However, Diddy lost this. They weren't able, again, to prove that it wasn't hearsay because he just says, I want to go to couples counseling, and she says, no, we don't need to do that. There wasn't enough grounds. Why do we need to go to couples counseling? Is it because of freak-offs? What is the basis? Diddy lost that one. They were not allowed to show that to the jury. There is one more. The last one, I hate when ambulances pass by like this. Come on, guys, keep it moving. Come on. I got a show to do, yo. All right, so the last one was 1417, and Cassie decorated a hotel room for Valentine's Day to surprise Diddy. I think if I remember correctly, there were some pictures here, and it was kind of like, oh, I want you to show up. I want you to be surprised. I want to do this for Valentine's Day. Again, leading to the fact that she's not forced, fraud, and coerced, that she's not there just because of Diddy. She is setting up a room by herself for Valentine's Day. They split on this one. The judge allowed half or part of the text message and I think one picture. So they split on this one, okay? So that is it for the beginning day of court. This took around an hour. We actually started a little bit late. It's probably why I lost my lunch. So the judge said, okay, is that it? Yeah. And then the defense said, yes, those are all 8. But remember, Judge, you haven't made a decision on the Diddy text where he says, I would like to cancel the night because you need some rest. Now, this is what I thought was really weird. I've never seen this happen before. The judge says, all right, thank you so much for reminding me about that. Can you read me the text again? Yes, Your Honor. Diddy says, I'm going to cancel the night because you need rest. Cassie says, no, don't cancel it. I need you. I want to be with you. And Diddy says, nah, you're too high on DRUGs. The judge is thinking about it. The prosecution, he asked the prosecution says, I still object. Then the defense says, we would like to talk amongst each other. Tenny talks with the other lawyer to confer, and then she's like, you know what, Judge, don't deliberate. We don't even want to put this in anymore. I have zero explanation for that. I have no idea. I've never seen a defense team try to admit something into evidence, and before the judge has a final ruling, they say, yeah, it's all right. I have no idea why they did that, all right? I have no explanation. Maybe we'll find out in closing arguments. Maybe there didn't, sometimes something could be up for like cross-examination or could come back and bite them in the butt. However, they just conceded to that one, okay? So those are all the things that the pieces of evidence that the defense got into court. I'll let you know how they use that at the end of the day. Stay tuned. It's pretty shocking how they used it. Trust me, you are going to be mind blown with those 6 text messages that got approved when I tell you what they were using it for, okay? Stay tuned. Now, the judge says, is there anything else on both sides? Prosecution says, no, sir, you can bring back in a witness. Defense says yes. So, Agent Joseph, which has been on the stand from yesterday, you guys know, he is the summary witness. You guys have heard me say it for the past couple of days now. They bring in the Excel spreadsheet. It's all the videos, all the text messages, all the receipts, et cetera, all summarized into one. The prosecution has him read out certain things. During cross-examination, the defense has him read out certain things. It's literally the last hurrah to get the jury to hear a couple of things, okay? I feel like we've been doing this for the past couple of days, so I'm gonna skim by this part because there's a lot more interesting things I gotta tell you about, like Rule 29 and how the defense team used Cassie's text messages to their advantage, okay? So, the Agent Joseph gets back on the stand. Couple of things that was kind of highlighted during the summary process. Jane and Diddy, Jane says, last night was amazing. I've never arrived. Y'all know what it means for like women to arrive. I've never arrived so amazingly. It's only your D that can make me feel that way. Again, they're really just trying to show that Jane and Cassie are into these kind of things. So at every chance the defense gets, they're going to show text messages or show evidence that these women are into it, and this is not force, fraud, and coercion, okay? There's another text message that said, wow, last night was mind-blowing. Another text message that says, Jane is texting Cabal, one of the SEX workers, saying, I cannot wait for you to blow my mind. There's a text between Diddy and Jane saying, I've never enjoyed last night. I've never enjoyed a night like I have last night. It was the biggest O ever. Jane to Diddy, your D is the only D that could make me O arrive. Diddy and Paul and Jane have a group text together. You guys been following this every day. You know that Paul is one of Jane's favorite SEX workers. There was a picture of Jane. She put out heels and bras and stuff on the floor. She sent it to Diddy. Diddy, can I walk in? Oh, Diddy sent a text message to her saying, can I walk in on you and Paul? I would really like that. She says, yes, whatever you want to do. I would love that too. Jane asked one of the SEX workers, I'm not sure if it was Paul or Cabal, if they wanted to come to Turks and Caicos. Again, that's proof and evidence that Jane is into this. It's not Diddy saying, hey, do you guys want to come here and trying to organize it? It is Jane trying to organize it. Some people will say, y'all know I got to give both sides. Some people will say that Jane is only doing this to make Diddy happy, and she knows this is what she has to do, and she's stuck in this situation. She really doesn't want to do these things. So all these text messages that you see of her asking, saying that she loves this, it's the biggest O or whatever, that is just to make Diddy happy. You guys decide how you want to take it, if it's her really meaning this or she's just trying to make Diddy happy, all right? Couple of more. Jane to Paul, who is an SEX worker, trying to set up a surprise for Diddy's birthday. Are you down to do a freak-off? Paul says yes. Jane says, she sent a text message to one of the SEX workers saying, give me that D. Sorry, give me my D. She said, my D. Ooh, it's getting a little windy. I hope my thing doesn't blow over. Yeah, she said to SEX worker in a text message, give me my D. I don't know if that is grounds to, turn Diddy on, or that seems a little bit like she wants it. And remember, she did say that Paul was on the stand. She testified, she said Paul was the best O she's ever had, and she feels like she actually had feelings for him, and she feels like she gets intimate with him. So if she's texting him saying she wants my D, there's something a little bit more than that doesn't sound like force, fraud, and coercion, and it doesn't sound like she's doing that for Diddy. Those are her words, not mine. Jane to Paul, you D'd me down. Gotta be careful how I read this. You D'd me down so well that my P was moist. Okay, blah 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 blah. Okay. Photos. They took photos from Jane's iCloud account, with photos with her and Diddy. They showed them at his house on the beach. I'm with my bestie. I love you so much. Looks like very girlfriend, boyfriend pictures and material, which any couple would have on their iCloud or on their phone. Again, they're really just showing that this is a consensual relationship and there's no SEX trafficking. Jane to Paul. This one is kind of funny. She said to Paul, this is an alert. This is a freak-off alert. I need my D. And then she sent him a picture of Shaq. If you guys remember, when Jane was testifying, she said that her, Paul, and Diddy had a trifecta when they were together. They loved their time together, that they called themselves the trifecta, and they had nicknames. Paul was Shaq, I wonder why. Diddy was Jordan, and she was Kobe. So she says, hey, this is an emergency freak-off. I need the D, and send them a picture of Shaq. All right, couple more. Jane to Diddy. Diddy that D makes some things sloppy, and then a lot of like water emojis, okay? And I didn't continue to write down because it gets a little repetitive. There's a lot of travel, flights, vacation, a lot of SEX thing back and forth. Jane to Diddy, I love making the D, extra, and it gets me ocean, okay? And she said I have a lot of love for my D word. All right, so that was it for text messages. I hate reading those text messages. And by the way, they read these things in court, not abbreviated like how I do. They read word for word, and it gets the jury very uncomfortable. It gets the women very uncomfortable, and it gets the older jurors very uncomfortable, because It's Agent Joseph, who's just some bald, agent guy from Homeland Security, and there's Tenny Garagos, who's reading Jane and Diddy, and she's reading the expletive, so it's just really uncomfortable, and you can even tell she's uncomfortable reading it out. But I think they're doing that to really show the jury, like, Jane is really into this. Again, if you don't want to believe that and you feel she's doing it just to please Diddy, fine. But the emojis, the water, the this or whatever, and that's why they're keep on doing it and keep on doing it and keep on making them feel uncomfortable. And they're actually going to go to Freakoffs after this, and I have more details to tell you. I really feel like they're reading the jury and they're reading the room. And every time they read these explicit text messages, it's really, especially the older jurors, are really turning them off from Jane. I don't think it makes it look favorable for Diddy, but it makes them turn them off from Jane, and it really makes them feel like, yo, she definitely is not forced, fraud, and coerced. She loves this. Listen to this text message. Those are not things that I text. Those are things that somebody who's very loose texts. That is the impression that you get off of their faces when they read a text. It's like, okay, you like those things. It's not like Diddy is making her do that. It's a reaction to what she is saying. And you could tell if you have any older women in your family, your mom or your grandmother, if they would read you and your girl's text messages, it would just be like, what kind of girl is my grandson with? Like, she's just with this nasty girl. That is how an older person would read it. That is why I definitely think that Tenny is bringing this up and making sure that they get these out. And if you thought the text messages were bad, guess what's coming up next? 4 more Freakoff tapes. 4 more Freakoff tapes. Yes, they played 4 more Freakoff tapes today, and it went down. Now, I really feel like, well, I know this because I'm in the courtroom, but Diddy's team definitely is watching my podcast. Not my podcast, but my lives. I made a point yesterday that I really felt that the defense should show the Freakoff tapes in its entirety to the jury. We had a big conversation about that yesterday, and it shouldn't just be the parts that the prosecution wants you to see or just parts that the defense. Today, they started off with showing the first tape in its entirety, and Tenny said it. She's like, we are going to show you a Freakoff tape in its entirety. We're going to start it from the beginning till the end. So I thought that was really, really good. Kudos to them for reading the room, seeing what content creators are talking about. You got it. They have a whole team, and it's important to know what people on the street are saying, what people in the media are saying, because they're in their bubble, right? So the 14 content creators that are in the room and the 21 legacy media, who's like CNN, TMZ, or whatever, maybe we're getting a different read. I talked about how I felt about the grandma. I told you guys how I felt about juror number 7. I did a whole breakdown yesterday, and they're going to want to know what I think, not because what I think is gold, but it gives a different perspective. And it could be a read that they didn't think about. Any true entrepreneur, anybody building a strategy or whatever, it's always really smart to look outside of your bubble because you guys have been in this bubble for so long, all right? So shout out to Diddy's defense team. Now, the second video, they did not play it in its entirety. They played from 1 minute. Whoop, I got another super chat. Thank you, Soul. Yeah, so I don't know if that's your whole name. I don't know. Soul Colano. Sorry, but yes, you're doing a great breakdown. Thank you very much. I'll just call you Soul. Thank you, Soul. All right, so yes. Okay, so the second video they played from 0 minutes to 1 minute and 30 seconds. Then they played 12 minutes to 30 seconds till 14 minutes. So in entirety, around 5 minutes of one tape. Let me tell y'all something, okay? They were playing, my data. Hold on, let me just check this. Okay, well, I'm good. One time my data cut and I almost lost you guys, but we're good. All right, so let me tell y'all what happened. While they were playing the Freakoff, I think I may be dirty to my camera. Hold on a second here. Sorry about that. All right, now we're clear. So while they were playing the Freakoff, there's microphones at the lawyers' desks, okay? And the headphones, when you're on the train with somebody or on the bus and their headphones are in their ear and they're playing it loud enough that you could hear a little bit of what's going on in their headphones, do that, but also think about that, but also, sorry, I'm getting notifications about my data. pretend that is happening, but then there's a microphone. So one of the lawyers picked up that we were getting feedback in the courtroom. So they asked the lawyers to put the microphones away so that we couldn't hear. Let me tell y'all something, it didn't work. Somebody made a mistake and they played a Freakoff video. Okay, sorry, I lost my space. They played a Freakoff video and the sound got so loud that the entire courtroom, well, the people who are more closer up, heard Jane going in. All right, I don't want to say too much because I don't know how much I'm supposed to say. It was an accident. It was so loud that Diddy put his hands over his ears. You know when you play a song and you don't know the volume is up so loud in your phone, you're like, oh my gosh. He kind of did take it off, but not fully, but he went like this and it was so loud, but nobody saw how loud his were. And the other people's was kind of loud, they kind of just moved it, but yo, we heard Jane going in. Again, it's just like the text messages. If you hear and you read these text messages from somebody who's supposed to be forced product award, and then you read, oh, I like it, I'm watering, I'm this, whatever, and then you play Freakoffs, and on the Freakoff tapes, she is really watering, and there's two guys there, and I told you yesterday, because I sit so close, I saw a Freakoff on one of Diddy's lawyers' cameras, and I can't say too much, but I'll tell you, that moment that they played, there was definitely no forced fraud or coercion at all, okay? And like I was talking with somebody today, a female, because I wanted to know how a female would look if they saw a Freakoff video and they saw Jane, who was supposedly forced fraud or coerced, and I described to her, because it wasn't online, but I described to her what I saw, and she said that would definitely, if she was a juror, it would definitely turn her off or at least give her some sort of reasonable doubt if she's looking like a PORN star. That's how she looked from what I was able to see, okay? Not putting any judgment or whatever. We don't know if, after or the beginning, I literally caught like 5 seconds of it, but she looked like she was definitely enjoying it. Could she have been putting it on for Diddy? Who knows? But it's up to the jury to decide that. But let me tell you, Jane was getting it on with two things, okay? And then proof today where the volume was super loud and there was a lot of water going on. I'll just leave it at that, all right? Now, they got that figured out. They thought they got it with the mics, but then the judge says, okay, we can't have any more slip-ups. The judge told the jury to take off their headphones and turn the volume down to 5, because it goes up to 10. They're like, please, before we press play again, we got to turn it down to 5. So everybody turned it down to 5s, and then we couldn't hear anything. So they watched 4. They watched 4 Freakoff tapes. I was able to yesterday see one, and then today hear one. Not like I wanted to, but at least it gives me a little bit of insight, and I could let you guys know, okay? Now, one of the things that I love about being in the courtroom, and one of the things that I make sure to tell you guys, is what you cannot get off of transcripts and what you cannot get off of Twitter feeds that are giving you guys information. I, at these times, watch the jury. I watch Diddy, because the jury is who is most important. My opinion doesn't matter. Your opinion doesn't matter. TMZ, CNN, all that matters is the jury. So in times like this, I study the jury. Diddy was watching the jury hard because he knows his fate is up with those 12 people and the 5 alternates. So Diddy is staring at the jury. Let me tell y'all something. For those who saw my jury breakdown yesterday, I still have it on my notepad here. Grandma is juror number 9. She's an older black lady. It looks like she's a little West Indian. I can identify her as a Jamaican kid. I have a lot of older Jamaicans in my family. I have a bunch of aunties. I got a mama. I got a grandma. Well, they're not here anymore. Rest in peace. But y'all know what I'm saying. If anything I know is I know older West Indian black women. And trust me, this grandma, juror number 9, was not having it at all. She was not impressed with Jane at all. That is a hard video for them to swallow and make it seem like, hey, this was forced fraud or coercion, but I'm acting so amazing. Again, I just saw a clip of it. She has seen at this point now 30 and 40 minutes of Jane. And if it's the defense playing it, they're playing the things that are going to make Jane look bad. Grandma, for the first time today, turned away from her screen and could not watch. And she normally has her hand like this, and she's sitting down. Well, she does it like this to kind of like hide from the jury a little. So she does this, and she went, and she has like a little scarf, and she's like, And then she looked back again and she's like, nope, I'm done. And she did not watch the rest of the time. For about 10 minutes, Granny refused to watch. Juror number 12, who is a younger black woman, she was biting her fingers. Now, y'all could read into that. She didn't look super disgusted, but I don't know how to read it. Her hand was in her mouth. I don't want to put it in there because I'm on the street, it's dirty, but she was kind of like into it, but I don't know how to read that. Is she into it and saying, like, oh, this looks like it's fun, and because really what it is that, is Jane faking or is she really enjoying it? Because if she's really enjoying it, then it's not forced fraud or coercion. That's what they're looking for. And as a woman, if you're seeming like you're into it, I'm just kind of just assuming it, if your hand's in your mouth and the face is kind of like a pleasurable face, I don't know how to read that. I'll leave that up to you guys. There was another woman that looked disgusted, and there was another woman that looked confused. This was another younger woman, and she was just like, they try not to make facial expressions, but on a Freakoff tape, you cannot avoid it. So that's just my take on the jurors. Juror number 5 raised her eyebrows up like this. Like, they went in today. They went in. Bye. You had fun today? Yeah. It's dope, right? All right. All right. So that is it on my reactions to the jurors on Freakoff tapes, okay? In closing, quickly, after they played the videos, they showed an expense report that the prosecution was alleging that Diddy was using $75,000. This was going towards the RICO case, that he used $75,000, but the prosecution, $75,000 out of Bad Boy to pay for something to do with a Freakoff or whatever, but then the defense team found out that he reimbursed himself. So he took out $75,000 from Bad Boy, but then he repaid it from his personal money, showing that, hey, as a business owner, yeah, you sometimes use your company money, but as long as you reimburse yourself, you should be all right, okay? So they found 2 inconsistencies in the prosecution's case. And right before Tenny said that she's done with the cross-examination, Tenny is Diddy's defense lawyer. She said, listen to this carefully. She said, thank you very much, Agent Joseph, who's a Homeland Security officer. She said, thank you very much, Agent. Please go back to protecting the threats in New York City. What does she mean by that? That's a shot, no? I was sitting beside somebody and I was like, what does she mean by that? You guys heard my earlier, sorry, there's another ambulance. Oh, it's a fire truck now. I don't know how loud that is for you guys, but yo, it is loud here. If you guys listen to my morning live, I told you guys that one of the defense strategies that we're gonna hear in closing arguments is the government is using up its resources to be in people's bedrooms, i.e. Diddy's bedrooms, and they're gonna try to hint of the fact that why are we spending millions upon millions of dollars of taxpayers' money to be watching Diddy and sitting down here and having agents go through summary reports of people's freak-offs. Like, leave people alone and get out into the streets and protect New York City. So that's why Tenny, before she let him go and dismissed him, she's like, thank you very much, Officer Joseph. Thank you very much. Please go back to protecting the threats in New York City. I thought that was a shot. Anyways, on redirect, Maureen Comey, who's a lead prosecutor, she came back up and she was just poke some holes in whatever Tenny was saying, like, oh, this, the payment, this video, trafficking, whatever. She took some shots. It was so much so that Tenny was like, objection, objection, objection. The judge said, listen, let me go for a sidebar. They took them on a sidebar. I don't know what was said because we can't hear sidebars. They came back, and then Maureen was like, you know what, I rest. So something happened, and she got worked up. The judge took them aside and was like, yo, just chill. So she came back, it was done. So that was it, ladies and gentlemen, for the prosecution's last witness. So I am here to say that today at around, what was around 2 o'clock, 2:30, the government the government has rested its case. Shout out to the government. Shout out to the federal government of the United States. You have rested today. You have put on a great case. They have done a great job. Stay tuned, there's a lot more though. Don't go anywhere, okay guys? The government put on a great case. There was definitely a lot of holes poked by the defense, a lot of holes. But let me know when I'm done this. I'm gonna go back to the chat I want to know, how do you guys feel the prosecution did? How do you feel like they did with Bonna? How do you feel like they did with Mia? How do you feel like they did with Cassie? How do you feel like they did with Brendan Paul? The prosecution finally rested their case today. I thought they took on a big case, a lot of stuff, thousands of emails, thousands of text messages, thousands of videos. For them to go through all that, I know it's the government, they have unlimited money, but I feel they did a great job. And like I always tell you guys, it's not my job to, let you know like what you should be thinking, or even so much to know what I'm thinking. I just let you know the feeling that I'm feeling inside the courtroom, and I leave it up to you guys to be on one side or the other. That's what my show is all about. I feel like they did a great job. I would definitely give them a passing grade. There's some things I'm a little bit disappointed in, and I'll just touch on it quickly before I go on to what the defense did after. And what they did after was very, very shocking. Seeing that this is going to be the last time I get to say it, the prosecution, I think, should have taken a little bit more time before they actually charged Diddy and tried to get somebody in his camp, tried to slide somebody in there, try to slide a, what do you call that, like somebody undercover, get into his camp, get some wiretaps on him, get him on video doing stuff. The government has taken down way bigger people for RICO and all that stuff. And what do? They take time, they infiltrate, they send somebody in undercover, they put somebody in with a wire. They would have had a much easier time convicting Diddy if the prosecution wouldn't have rushed. I think they did a great job of what they have. If I was them, I would have taken a little bit more months and tried to infiltrate. You really want to get somebody on RICO, to me, you need a little bit more direct evidence. Most of their evidence is relied on text message. To put a man away for life over a text message, how many times have you had an argument with somebody over a text message and you're like, yo, that's not what I mean, and you have to call them? It's hard to get context over a text message. Again, I'm not saying if Diddy is guilty or not, if he did these things or not, first order coercion. I'm just saying is 90% of the testimony and the direct evidence came from text message, okay? So the government finally rested. Now, it was time for the government to put on their Rule 29 motion. I told you guys what that was today. Rule 29 motion is, I'll give you the exact definition. I'll run through it quickly. And I just want to make sure I don't make any mistake. Hold on one second. Rule 29. Oh my gosh, is it that far back? Jeez, it's coming up. Okay, Rule 29. Motion to dismiss the case before they put the case before the jury. The prosecution has not met their burden to establish a matter of law that Diddy has committed at least one or up to three of these charges that he is being accused of. Meaning, Your Honor, please do not even hand this over to the jury. The defense hasn't put on a good enough case. We don't think it should even go to the jury. They have not met their burden of proof. You have the power, judge. Dismiss this case right now. It's over. So the judge is like, okay, I'll hear you. Now, we talked about this yesterday, and a lot of people put in the chat, it's standard. Every defense team does this. Yes, it is standard, but you know what? Sometimes it actually works. And it's not just blanket throughout the whole case. It could just be, hey, throw out the RICO, or hey, throw out the SEX trafficking. It could be parts of the charge. So, like I said, I'll tell you quickly the reasons that they feel this case is grounds for Rule 22. They start off by saying there is no jury that could find Sean Diddy Combs guilty beyond a reasonable doubt with the evidence that the government has put forth. I thought that was a very powerful line. I don't necessarily believe it, but to say there is no juror on the face of this planet that could find Diddy guilty beyond a reasonable doubt is a huge, huge statement. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but again, they got to do what they got to do, okay? So they started out with RICO. I'll run it down very, very quickly. So they said the government failed to prove RICO. Part of RICO is that you have to show that you agreed with others to conduct a crime and commit it. So RICO is supposed to be organized. There's supposed to be a lot of people involved. They did a pretty good job of making this point. And the judge is deliberating on it, by the way. He has not ruled on Rule 29 yet. He said that he will take things into consideration. One of the points they said is that they failed to show the organizing, people, a group of people coming together to commit crimes. And let me give you some of their definitions. Why? The government says that this was happening over the past 20 years, and they failed to meet that. They said the enterprise must be more than just an enterprise and must be organized to commit crimes. They must be tied to other people. Most of Diddy's crimes that they committed, he said, were done by himself and with his girlfriends. Combs did not conspire with others. That's how they're feeling that it's not a RICO. Yes, they're saying he did crimes, but most of the crimes he committed were petty crimes like buying personal DRUGs, and he didn't conspire with other people working around him. Now, you guys are gonna say the assistants went and bought DRUGs, you guys are gonna bring up KK, but listen to what they said. I feel like they made some strong points. I don't necessarily think it should be thrown out, but they made some strong points. She said, and this was, oh, I forgot her name. It's a little shorter blonde lady, starts with an S. Anyways, I'll tell you guys her name tomorrow. She said, having staff pick up personal amounts of DRUG is not RICO. That is not your staff coming together conspiring to do crimes. That would be an example of, let's say I have a laundromat, and I literally have meetings with all of my managers, and all of the managers have different ways of, let's say, like washing money or doing this, and we're all coming together to conspire. What she's saying is, nah, Diddy is just having them do stuff. They're just doing it because he's asking for them. They're not doing it as part of the organization. They're not coming together as an organization to, let's say, funnel kilos of DRUGs. That would be RICO. It's Diddy himself breaking the law and doing crimes, and he's just literally asking his assistants to do things, and the things that he's asking them are personal DRUGs. She even went on to say the assistant never even thought the girls were being trafficked. So here's an example. Brendan Paul said, the prosecution asked him, or the defense asked him, did you ever set up Freakoff rooms? Yes, I did. And I went out and cleaned up. Yes, I did. Did you ever feel like Jane was forced or was there coercion? No, she looked like she enjoyed it at the beginning, looked like she enjoyed it at the end. Now, let's not get into that. Let's talk about RICO. If somebody is part of your RICO organization, and like I said, part of RICO is that you have to prove that everybody conspired to cause a crime. If Brendan Paul is saying, I didn't know any crimes were committed, this was just what I thought it was just him and his girlfriend coming together. That is grounds to dismiss under Rule 29, because there's one example how an assistant didn't even know that a crime was being committed. They brought up David James testified that he was doing things for Diddy personally, and he didn't even know. If Diddy has ever tried to deny, Diddy even tried to deny freak-offs to his staff. So what that is saying is that some staff, maybe some of the newer staff, were really kind of oblivious. He wasn't announcing like, yo, this is what we're doing. Some of them were just like, yo, I got to set up, I got to put baby oil, and I put Astroglide. Yes, they know that was going on, but it's not like they were part of it and like they were trying to egg it on and they were trying to get workers. They were just, hey, I'm here setting up the room. And at some points, they said that it was even testified that Diddy was trying to keep it away from some of his assistants. One example that she showed was there was at one time that Diddy even tried to hide Freakoff nights from KK. One time it was testified that he said that he can't have Paul at his house. He tried to keep some Freakoff nights from KK and the security guards. One of them found out, KK and the security guard found out, I'm reading this wrong. There was one time, or the time when when Diddy put hands on Cassie, KK actually said in a text message that this showed up that KK was on Cassie's side the day, not when the tape dropped, when the actual incident happened at 2016. A security guard was on Cassie's side and KK. And again, if this was RICO and it was your organization coming to conspire to commit crimes, why would KK be on Cassie's side and be giving Diddy ish? If she is part of RICO, it is supposed to be an organization coming together and committing crimes. They would be in on it. If they showed proof of, yeah, keep on putting hands on her, or they would put hands on her, or if it was her assistant putting hands on her, if it was KK herself putting hands on her, that would be more grounds for RICO. They have yet to show where people on Bad Boy or Sean Combs Enterprises was part of the crimes or conspired together to commit the crimes. They said at times Cassie even reached out to KK, and KK helped protect her from Diddy. Again, if KK is supposed to be part of the RICO, why is she helping people who Diddy are committing crimes against? She even said that there's proof that Cassie said that D-Rock was like family, and again, D-Rock is supposed to be part of the organization. No evidence that KK ever thought any of the girls were being coerced. KK says, if you cannot be honest with me, then I'm not going to work with you. Again, that is just grounds saying that KK, yes, may have known stuff that was going on, but was she complicit in helping him commit the crimes of sex trafficking? Was she there trying to help him? Was she there trying to get guys? Again, this is what Diddy's defense team is trying to say to get RICO thrown out, okay? Let me get into some things now. I'm gonna try to run it down within the next 10 minutes. So she goes on to, as you guys know, there's 35 predicate acts under RICO, and the government is saying that Diddy has broken 6 of them. This was her defense on bribery. She says, if you want bribery to stick, bribery is trying to stop somebody from giving information to law enforcement. All Diddy was trying to do was influence the CNN tape from not coming out to protect his own public image. Let me give you guys a little bit more context to that. Was to have a bribery stick under RICO, you have to be bribing somebody that stopping something that's going on in a criminal investigation. So for example, let's say the cops were called to the Intercontinental Hotel and they were launching an investigation into Diddy and he didn't want to get arrested. At that point, if he went to the security and said, yo, I don't want to go to jail, I'm going to give you $100,000, that would be bribery. The fact that no cops were called, and Cassie even FaceTimed the security guard and said, please don't call any cops. There was no cops called, there was no case. Diddy going to the security guard and saying, yo, I'm going to give you $100,000 because I'm a public figure. I don't want that to come out. That is not bribery under RICO. Again, it has to be stopping evidence coming out under a criminal investigation, okay? Then they tried to debunk the corrupt, and grounds on corrupt and intimidating somebody. They said, gave reason that the government didn't prove. So they're just trying to say that there's not enough proof that he was trying to intimidate Mia and Jane. Then they tried to debunk sex trafficking. They also tried to debunk forced labor. A couple of things that they were saying with forced labor is, really what forced labor is supposed to be is when somebody is held in an employment against their will, not somebody who is working 18 hours a day. Like Brandon Paul said, yeah, I was working a lot, but I wanted to work. So they were saying these are not grounds. The government didn't show enough proper evidence for force of labor. They broke down, hold on guys, I'm almost done. They broke down Capricorn Clark, they broke down Mia, and they broke down Cassie, and all were really trying to say, did he overwork them? Yes, but that is not grounds for forced labor. They didn't actually break that law under the RICO Act, and they gave an example of literally like keeping somebody at some employment if they want to leave. They said that all of these people, Capricorn Clark, Mia, Cassie, and Jane, could have left if they wanted to. They were not there under forced labor. So judge, throw that out. They also talked about keeping somebody against their will, which you guys know is the K word. So, bro, could you just keep that just a little bit? Thank you, appreciate you. This guy literally put down a big thing of garbage right beside me. Okay, so then they said that the prosecution did not show enough grounds, because you know that they saying that Diddy went to Capricorn Clark's, was it Capricorn Clark or KK, where it's like, yo, let's go see Kid Cudi. They're saying that that's not enough evidence for taking somebody, okay? So they broke that down. Like I said, I don't want to get too deep into it. I'm already at 53 minutes. Then they talked about arson. They said that there's no evidence, there's no proof, there's no video. That is talking about Kid Cudi. They're saying, listen, we understand that it sounds like a good story to be on, whatever, on Rolling Stones or to put on a tabloid, but the proof is, the point is that Kid Cudi does not have any proof. There's no hard evidence. And even the fact that when Diddy and Kid Cudi were at this restaurant, after everything boiled over, Kid Cudi was like, yo, what about my car? Whatever happened to you, doing that to my car? And Diddy's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So the fact that everybody's saying like, yeah, he's done for RICO. They definitely have him on arson. I challenge you, and I think this is a good point. Of all of the 6, I think this is the strongest point is, where's the evidence that Diddy had anything to do with the car? Now, I believe that he did it, but it's not what you could believe. It's not what you believe in court. It's what you could prove. And they did not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Diddy was the one who did that or had something to do with it. So you can't just say, I feel like in my gut. Kid Cudi doesn't even know. And Kid Cudi even testified, I think it was him. Nobody knows, all right? So those were grounds on how to get off of RICO, okay? So that was bribery, the SEX trafficking, forced labor, keeping somebody, and arson. So let's go over to SEX trafficking, and then we'll tell you about what they used Cassie's text messages for, right? I got about 10 minutes, and then I will go to your questions. Thank you all for hanging in with me. You know I love doing this. All right, so they now want to talk about SEX trafficking. Now, they say that there is not sufficient evidence, there is no proof that Diddy knowingly trafficked Cassie. Now, they call this a mens rea, meaning that there is no way that he could have known at the times that Cassie is claiming that she didn't want to do it, that he could have known. What does that mean? For example, she is saying this is how she was feeling, but she didn't articulate that to him, but now she's telling the court. They're saying under something that's called mens rea is there's no way that Diddy could have known at that time that she felt that way if she didn't tell him. So that is grounds to dismiss the trafficking charge, the SEX trafficking charge. Cassie says she was doing it to make him happy, but Diddy could not have known. They also were talking about the CNN tape, which everybody assumes that tape alone is grounds to, throw him away for SEX trafficking, because the prosecution is alleging that he was putting hands on her to come back to the room to continue what was going on. But here is what Diddy's defense team said today. He said that CNN tape was after an SEX night. It was after a Freakoff, not before. So let me just break that down. SEX trafficking under force, fraud, or coercion is saying you are making them do this. And if this happened, the CNN video happened after, then is it horrible? Is he a jerk for doing that? 1000%. Should he be going to jail for that? Yes. Is that DV? Yes. But if he's putting hands on her after, then technically speaking, that is not force, fraud, or coercion, because it's force, fraud, or coercion to get you to do a freak-off. This was after a freak-off. And there was no proof that when he brought her back to the room that they got into a freak-off. So unless the prosecution had a way of proving that him putting hands on her was either before or either to come back to do that, you're gonna just have to try to hope that the jury assumes that that's what he was doing. And they showed the fact that Diddy actually sat down in a chair after he got his phone and he stopped putting hands on her, which is the defense's argument of saying he was really just putting hands on her not to bring her back into the room, but to get the phone back. Y'all know the story that Diddy's defense team is putting on is that he was putting hands on her because she put hands on him, and that's just the way that their relationship was. It's up for you guys to believe what you want to believe. This is Diddy's defense team trying to get the case thrown out on Rule 22. Now, here is how they tried to debunk Jane's SEX trafficking charge and asking the judge to throw it out. Again, same thing. Diddy had no idea that she didn't want to do it. There's tons of text messages saying how much Jane wanted to do it before and after. They said that the prosecution trying to say that a promise to go to Turks and Caicos is not fraud, because one of the things are force, fraud, and coercion. That's saying, yo, let's go to Turks and Caicos, and it's just gonna be me and you, baby. I love you, let's go to Turks. And then they go to Turks and it shows up and Paul is there, or one of the SEX workers are there. The prosecution is like, yo, that's fraud. You cannot bring somebody somewhere on a promise and it's not there. The prosecution is like, that is not fraud, by the way. Sorry, the defense is like, that is not fraud. Fraud is supposed to be something material. Turks and Caicos does not qualify as something that is material. This happens in a normal traditional relationship where a man will promise his wife or promise his girlfriend, or vice versa. A girl will be like, hey, I'm gonna promise you to do this, promise to do this on your birthday, and you don't end up doing it and then something else happens. That's not SEX trafficking, and that is not fraud. Again, this is what the defense is trying to prove. And they also talked about the night at Jane's house is not enough evidence that one night, and like I told you guys today, all the prosecution has to do is prove that it was SEX trafficking under force, fraud, and coercion one time. She may have been into it 99 times, but if they can prove one time that was force, fraud, or coercion, they should find him guilty. And the one time that we know that Jane actually said that happened was the time when Diddy was putting hands on her at her house. And Diddy's defense team today says That's not enough. There was not enough evidence. She could have not had the SCX worker there. And it's, again, up to you if you want to believe Jane, but there's not enough hard evidence. So that is SCX trafficking under first fraud of coercion. That is Diddy's team saying, this is why we want the case thrown out. And there's the last act. The last act is the Mann Act, which is SCX trafficking for people selling themselves. And I told you this today. I was right, by the way. I told you that I got some inside information that they were going to try to say that these SCX workers were not SCX workers, they were entertainers. They got paid to entertain, dance, give you company, and after they got paid for that, if SCX happened, that was up to them. So they weren't actually paid for SCX. So they said, this should be thrown out. This is not a violation of the Mann Act. Everybody who testified, including the Punisher and everybody who testified, said they were entertainers and they were not SCX workers. They did not get paid for SCX. There is no testimony on record that anybody was paid for SCX. Even Cassie said how it first started out is that she would open the door in some lingerie, he would come in some lingerie, they would dance, they would do a little role play, they would do whatever, and if she was feeling them, it would turn into SCX. So technically speaking, to Diddy's defense team, nobody was paid. That is the defense Rule 22. Don't judge me for it. That is the Rule 22 on all the reasons why they want the case thrown out and all the reasons why Diddy's defense team feels like the burden of proof was not met by the government, all right? Whew! All right, I got through that. All right, now, two more things to tell you. The judge asked Diddy, all right, I heard your defense team for Rule 22. Now it's time to ask you a question, Mr. Combs. Before your team goes up on the stand and presents their case, because now remember I told you earlier, the prosecution rested their case. Before the defense starts their case, Mr. Combs, I would like to ask you, do you want to take the stand? The lawyers cannot say that Diddy wants to take the stand. Diddy himself must say it. This is the one time that we have heard Diddy talk in the past year and a half, except for that horrible video he made on Instagram. And it was like monumental. Like everybody was super quiet. Everybody was like, oh my God. So Diddy stands up. The judge says, Mr. Combs, I have a question for you. How are you? Everybody kind of laughs a little. He said, I'm fine, Your Honor. I'm fine, Your Honor. He sounded didn't cut anything. He's like, I'm fine, Your Honor. He said, sorry, I said, how are you? He said, I'm fine, Your Honor. And he goes, oh, Your Honor, before you start, I just want to let you know, I feel you're doing a fine job. I feel like you're doing a great job. Hold on, let me reenact it again. Sean Combs. Yes, Your Honor. How are you doing? I'm doing great, Your Honor. And I'm sorry, Your Honor, before you ask me another question, if I want to testify, I just want to let you know, you're doing a fantastic job, Your Honor. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? I personally didn't love that. It's why I think that Diddy probably wanted to take the stand and his lawyers convinced him not to. It's Diddy loves the spotlight. He loves moments like this. He would have loved to got on the stand and be like, I was the one who got me off. And now he's gonna have to say it was my lawyers. Diddy is that type of guy. He has that type of personality where it's 2 seconds left. He wants to be 2 seconds left. He wants the ball. So that was his one little spot of, yo, let me just tell the judge. Let me try to, work my magic on the judge to make the judge think I'm a nice guy, make him think I'm charismatic. You're doing a great job, Your Honor. You're doing a great job, Your Honor. I don't know. Wasn't too really fond of that. The judge said, thank you very much, Mr. Combs. Mr. Combs, I have a question for you. Did you get enough sleep today? Do you feel well? Have you taken any DRUGs? Are you of good, sound mind and body? He said, yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. He said, all right, I have a question for you. Will you be taking the stand? Has your lawyers told you that it's your right? You won't be judged. He reads the whole thing. He said, yes, Your Honor. He said, so, Mr. Combs, will you be testifying? And Diddy said, no, Your Honor, I will not be testifying. The judge says, is this your decision? This is not your lawyers. You made the sole decision that you will not be testifying. And he said, yes, Your Honor. And then he makes a joke. He's like, well, it was, they told me not to, but it is my decision. But we had a conference about it. We talked about it. Like, he just wants it to be on record like, yeah, it's my decision, but they told me to do it. Anyways, Diddy had his little time, his little moment, took 2 minutes, he cracked a couple of jokes, everybody was laughing, and that was Diddy's moment. After that, the judge said, okay, the defense, it is your turn to put on your case. Now, we have been building up this case for, I don't know, a year and a half. What's the defense case gonna be? Mark Agnifilo talks to TMZ. This is the federal government taking down Diddy, a black billionaire. We're gonna need 3 weeks. 2 weeks ago, they're like, oh, we're gonna need 3 weeks. Last week, they're like, yo, we think we need 2 to 5 days. I told y'all yesterday that the defense was not going to put one witness on the stand because they feel the prosecution has not met their burden of proof. They feel like the jury has enough reasonable doubt that at least minimum one juror is not going to convict Diddy. The defense did not put on any testimony, nobody on the witness, but they did put some things into evidence. And if you guys have been watching from the beginning, I'm sure you could figure out what Diddy's defense team put into evidence. Let me break it down for you. It's going to take 5 minutes. The first thing they put up, take a guess. I'll wait to see if you guys guess. Let me see how good you guys. What do you think? What do you think? Somebody says, Trent, you are a hardworking man. I know, and I'm sweating. I need to take a second. While you guys answer what do you think was the first thing that the defense team tried to put in into evidence? Don't forget, this is their defense, huh? They chose not to put anybody up on the stand, but what do you think they tried to get in? There we go, somebody said it. Text messages from Jane, there you go. Text messages from Jane, but not 100%. Text messages from Cassie. Remember what I told you guys in the beginning? The 8 text messages that they want to try to put in? There you go, something from Cassie because she is the strongest. Yes, somebody said, oh yes, the text messages. See how I set that up there? Y'all know who watches me every day. I'm always giving you like a beginning. I keep holding you. I tell you in the middle. It's like watching a soap opera. I let you guys know at the beginning day of court today, they tried to get in 8 text messages. They're only allowed in 6. This is the defense. This is what Diddy's 8 lawyers have decided that they want to put as their defense, Cassie's text message. The first one that they put up was a long text message to Diddy. I love taking walks for you. I love Freakoffs. I love doing DRUGs. I'm so in love with you. They're the greatest guy ever. The next thing, pictures of flowers of Valentine's Day. They're just trying to show how romantic and how girlfriend-boyfriend they are. Text messages saying, I love when we have SCX for 48 hours. Then I'm just going to remind you back of the text messages that got approved today. I'll read them over very quickly. Diddy asking Cassie, what do you want to do? I want to be your little freak. That goes in as evidence. The jury gets to use that in their deliberation. Hey, I just walked by a store. I couldn't resist. I wanted to buy baby oil. Hey, I just took some DRUGs. I love feeling like this. Here's another text message. You think you can do a freak off without being high on DRUGs? Yes, I love it. Here's another one that got let in. Cassie decorating a hotel room for a freak off. These are the text messages that they used to put in as Diddy's defense. Y'all, Diddy's defense took 10 minutes. 10 minutes. It was all Cassie text messages because, like somebody just said in the chat, Cassie was the strongest witness. If they could let the jury go home thinking about Cassie saying, I love buying baby oil. I walk by the store, I buy it by myself. I love the freak-offs. I love you. I love all this or whatever. That is a way to have the jury have a reasonable doubt. The last thing they put in was law enforcement talking with Daniel Phillips, Don Richard, Shay Haynes, Capricorn Clark, Mia, and Bonna. Now, why they did that is during closing arguments, and I told you guys this morning, during closing arguments, they're going to try to say most of the the government's witnesses were given immunity. When you're given immunity, it puts a little shadow over your testimony. Because why are you given immunity? You're given immunity because you were charged with something. You did something wrong. The government has something against you, which indirectly gives you reason to lie. It gives you reason to say something that you might not want to say. So the prosecution listed all of these people that met with law enforcement that is testifying under immunity, and they are going to use that in their closing arguments. It literally started out text messages from Cassie. Here are all the people that worked with the government, and then I wrote it all on one page. The defense rests. Done. The judge is like, just want to make sure. You guys have been on here for 10 minutes. The defense rests. Just keep in mind, from March the 5th, the prosecution has been talking, building their case. It took 7 weeks. It took 7 minutes for the defense to be like, here, this is my defense. Cassie. Yeah, deuces, we're done. What does that mean to y'all? Do you guys really believe that do you believe and agree with the defense that the prosecution's case is so weak that they don't even need to try to bring anybody else? They don't need to bring any character witnesses. They don't need to bring any expert witnesses. Do you guys believe that the jury feels like the prosecution's case is so weak they don't even have to try? And again, this is a strategy, right? You see somebody in an argument and you're like, yo, this person is crazy. Why would I even talk to this person? That is a strategy. It is a bold strategy because I do think that the prosecution put on a pretty decent case, but it's a strategy nonetheless of just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yo, I did some DRUGs. I was a little bit of an ASS to Cassie when I put hands on her. I regret that. His lawyers have said, yo, he's a little bit of an ASS for sure. You know, he's a narcissist. He's super into himself. He takes personal DRUGs. You know, he pushes his employees, but he is not a criminal in the sense of being RICO. He did not SCX traffic people, and he's not guilty of the Mann Act. That is what his defense attorneys are saying. And they're basically saying it with their full chest, saying, you guys are talking so much ish that I don't even have to say anything to y'all. Leave that with the jury. Anyways, I'm gonna get to the comment section. I just want to tell you what is left for the rest of the week, and then we'll get to the comments. All right, guys, it was pretty good. 71 minutes, 11 minutes overtime. So what is on tap for tomorrow? Stay tuned, and I will, somebody said drop the mic. Well, hold on, let me finish. I haven't dropped yet. And then I'll give you a Jamaican salute. Tomorrow, the jury has the day off. The jury has a day off. We, as the 14 content creators and 21 people from legacy media, shout out to TMZ, ABC, CBS, all of them, man. They've been so cool with the YouTubers and, you know, they call us new media. But whenever we go, you know, to the cafeteria, or we're walking around or whatever, we're all media and they all respect them, man. I'm proud of us, man. Anyways, so we will be coming in tomorrow. The judge said at first 10 a.m., but then he said you guys can come in at noon. So we'll come in at noon. So I'll do a live in the morning at around 11 o'clock. Y'all know I always find out stuff at night, little leaks and little things that are going on. We will find out. I'll find out and I'll let you know that I'll do a live tomorrow around 10:30, 11, okay? So what we're coming in for tomorrow, and the jury's not here, it's called a charge conference. What that will be is, what are the charges that and the jury instructions going to be? So the jury will hear closing arguments on Thursday, but we're going to decide, well, they're going to decide tomorrow, how are they going to understand the charges? What is the instructions going to be? What do they get to deliberate on? Blah, 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 blah. And they are given a pamphlet and they say, go back and deliberate here. This is what we're going to argue about tomorrow. Well, they are going to, I feel like I'm so part of the trial, you know? Like, this is what the prosecution and the defense, we told you about, a bit about that, I think, yesterday. There's certain advantages of having certain things on or off there, but I'm not going to get into it. I already talked to you guys about that yesterday, and I've been here long enough. So the final arguments on what the jury will deliberate on and the charge conference will be tomorrow. I'll give you guys some more detail and let you know who wins. It's still important because depending on what questionnaire they have to answer, it definitely helps to getting somebody a guilty or not guilty verdict. Also keep in mind, tomorrow, the judge will probably give us a decision on Rule 29. I know there's a lot of y'all that don't think Rule 29 will be able to be implemented, but I just gave you some pretty interesting facts on why they feel like RICO should be thrown out, why they feel like SCX trafficking, first fraud and coercion should be thrown out, and why the Mann Act violation should be thrown out. And the judge doesn't have to throw out all three. It's not together. He could decide, I'm just going to throw out the Mann Act. Yeah, that's true. I didn't see him, you know, there's no proof of him paying anybody. It could be the first fraud or coercion. Yeah, Cassie and Jane weren't that strong. I throw that out. Or they could be like, I think all the SCX trafficking is strong, but I feel the RICO is weak. We'll find out tomorrow. I'll try to work on tonight and I'll let you guys know maybe in the morning or after the day tomorrow. So that is Wednesday. Thursday, they are going to begin closing arguments on Thursday. Both the prosecution and the defense has agreed that they want to go 9 to 5 on Thursday, which means a huge day for me. I won't be able to come out till like 5:30 and talk to you guys. So the prosecution said they need about 4 hours. The defense needs about 4 hours. What I hope is they both come together and say, listen, we're going to give you closing arguments from the prosecution before lunch, and the defense comes after lunch, and we get everybody together in one day. But for right now, they said that they're going to reserve Thursday and Friday. If they get done earlier, then the jury will be able to start deliberating on Friday. And like I've been saying, we could get a verdict if they let the jury start deliberating, let's say early Friday. They have been known to a jury to come back within 3 or 4 hours. It's not looking likely, because it's more looking like the closing arguments are going to take a little bit longer, and then probably the jury will start deliberating on Monday. I'll let you guys know more details about that as the week progresses. Now, here is something to be wary of. If there is not a verdict on Friday, I will still be coming here every day. So make sure you guys tune in next week until we get a verdict. I will be coming up in court with the other content creators and other legacy media. We will be able to stay in the court while the jury is deliberating. Yes, we're not going to be sitting down on our seats glued because there's no testimony, but the jury can send in notes to the judge. Hey, we want to know this, we want to know that, and I'll be able to come out and tell you guys and what their notes were or what their questions were. And when you know what the notes are, it gives you some sort of indication of what the jury is thinking. So for example, if they're like, hey, what does this text message mean? Or can we get some more text messages from Cassie? Or if we think RICO is not like this, does this mean it's not guilty? We'll be able to give you a little bit of a window into what the jury is thinking. It's like somebody that asks you a question, you could almost deduce what they're thinking of why they're asking that question. So that's what's gonna be all next week. I'll be working with insiders to try to figure out what the jury is deliberating on. So don't go anywhere until we get an actual verdict. We will be coming out here maybe multiple times a day to let you guys know all the notes that are going on. I will be inside the courtroom, right beside Diddy's mama, right beside the kids. I'm sure that his daughters are probably gonna come back. I'm sure it's gonna be a little bit more packed in there, but I will be in there when the verdict is read, and I will come out and give you guys breaking news as it progresses, okay? So that is the schedule. Of course, anything could happen throughout the rest of the week. Things could change. I will let you guys know. All right, guys, now we can do a mic drop. Bam, 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 bam. 77 minutes. What is that? An hour and 17 minutes. Woo! Well, I guess it's not so bad because I didn't do a lunch hour. So, woo, that was a lot. All right, I hope you guys liked it. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking around. I'm getting to the comment section. Hold on. Oh, yeah, fire. All right, let's see what you guys have been saying to me now. Somebody said, mic drop. There we go. Yeah, let me not even scroll. Let me just see what's going on. Hey, nice work, Tread. We'll be here for the verdict. Somebody gave me a thumbs up. Great reporting. Your live coverage is amazing. Thank you so much, Alex. Somebody says, I love Tootsie Rolls. Daniel said, thank you for the update. That was awesome. Midnight MLKR said, you're fire as hell, curly hair, cutie, me and Melanin King, give us the tea. Thank you so much. Welcome home party for Justin's on Friday. Somebody said, free puff. Look what they have subject his to. The United States do care about family. Somebody said, not guilty. Look, baby, look up. Guilty, look here. Diddy, master manipulator. You're doing a great job of reporting. Thank you so much. My first time here. Welcome, Val. Welcome. Great job. Great glasses game on point. Thank you very much. Great reporting. Thank you. Savannah says, since it's done, what are your thoughts? Great question. I was looking for that. I still don't have thoughts. Guys, 60 or 70% of court cases are won with the jury that you pick and in closing arguments. Everything that we've been seeing from the prosecution, they are not able to address the jury. So when they show a Freakoff tape, they're not allowed to say, hey, we're showing you this for this. Or when somebody testifies, they can't say, hey, jury, this is RICO, this is this, you have to think this. So as well versed as I am in court, and I know what they're presenting, there's still some things that I'm like, what are they presenting that for? Like, what is this? And I don't like to talk ish. I like to have all my information. I like to do all my research. So after closing arguments, I'll have a way better thought of which direction the jury is going to go. Not based on the evidence and not based on closing arguments. I told you guys yesterday, I feel like there are 3 people on the jury that I see just from watching them that will definitely vote not guilty. That's just my opinion, not even based on the evidence, just based on their reaction and how they've been like, just their reaction to things, their interest in the case, things that perk up their interest and things that don't perk up their interest. I feel like the Mann Act, I feel that they'll all find him guilty for that because it's a lesser charge. He'll get off with time served. And I think that everybody is acknowledging the fact that he put hands on Cassie and that was just an ASS thing to do. And at least he'll be found guilty on something. So I think that he'll be found guilty on that. And that's pretty easy to prove, even regardless of whatever the defense tried to say today during the Rule 29. I do think that, again, just based off a jury, that it's possible to have a hung jury on RICO and on SCX trafficking. Again, based on jury. I really will be able to tell you when it comes time to closing arguments, because that's when you know all the tea, okay? I love Trent, however, he and, I'm not gonna say the person's name in case you're saying something bad, have completely different stories from the day. He seems to see the defense side and her, the prosecution side, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. So, great comment. By the way, that's the reason why people have a jury, and it's a jury of 12. And I think that comment is a good comment in the sense that depending on your background, your walk of life, your experience, how you see things, that's why there's a hung jury. You've seen it just happen in the Harvey Weinstein case. So there's no way that you're gonna sit people in a room, 30 people, 40 people, and everybody is gonna come out and have the same feeling. Now, I guarantee you that both of us are presenting the same facts because we're just presenting the facts, but my opinion on the facts might differ from another influencer and another YouTuber, and that's fine. And all of us respect each other. We talk about it, and I'm like, really, you think this? Yeah, well, I think that, but we are all definitely saying the facts to you. We're all legitimate, honest people reporting the news to you, but don't get it twisted. Everybody has a right to their own opinion, okay? We're gonna do the line, on the not guilty verdict. All right, get your questions into me. I feel like the prosecution made Diddy's case more than they made their own. Listen, I don't know if they made the defense's case than they made their own, but Diddy's defense team, we're agreeing, I'm just saying it differently. I don't think it was the prosecution. I think it was the defense poking holes in the prosecution's argument, which is the reason why they didn't need to put anybody on the stand, because they used the prosecution's witnesses against the prosecution. For example, Brendan Paul. Did you see Jane look like she was first fraud and courted? No, she seemed happy when she walked in and when she left. Did you ever see her unhappy? Not me. Did you ever get DRUGs for Diddy? Yeah, more than 5, not less than 10. That is amazing testimony for Diddy, and it makes it even worse that it's the prosecution's witness. So, yes, prosecution did Diddy a favor, but it was really Diddy's defense team for asking the right questions. Some JMF said, great reporting, looking good, thank you very much. Great job, Trent. Tasha from DC and guest on it. Hey, Tasha, my people. What up, what up, what up? Tasha and DJ, what up? Somebody said Rule 29 motion was strong and persuasive. If the judge isn't biased or pro-prosecution, he should grant it not guilty, puff, guilty, great appeal issue. So yes, I do think they made some cases. However, I do probably think the judge is going to be like, yo, I don't want this put on me. You know, everybody's put a lot of work into it. You made some great points during Rule 29, but we're gonna leave it to the jury. And really, at the end of the day, Diddy's defense team said there is no way that any jury could ever convict him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So if you actually really believe that, think about this. If you really believe that, if you're really Diddy's defense team and you really believe no juror could ever convict him, you don't need the judge to throw it out. Give it to the jury, and the jury will come back by Friday and be like, no, right? So you don't need a judge if you really believe that the prosecution did a bad job. You don't even really need Rule 21. Shapiro, that's his Shapiro. Shapiro speaking on Rule 29 was really impressive. Yes, can you tell me her first name? It's something Shapiro, but yes. And Her assistant, he's a young guy. He's like a savant, man. He knows the law inside or out. Honestly, he looks like he's like 21. I see him walking every day. I'm like, what up, bro? What up? Like, he's so nice. Even the prosecution, they say what's up to me, they're hi, whatever, blah, blah. But that kid who works with Shapiro, woo, he is brilliant. Somebody said, you're most likely just like, okay, I'm not even gonna read that silliness. You are awesome. Pursue a law degree. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Michelle said that. Gemini said, y'all wouldn't be liking Tootsie Roll if it happened to you or your son or your daughter. Like I always said, Diddy not only is definitely guilty and has definitely committed some crimes. For those of you who might be new, you might not know, but I'm a huge mental health advocate. I do talks on mental health. And I think beyond Diddy being guilty and everything else, I think personally Diddy has some mental issues that he really, really needs to deal with. Jane said one thing that I highlighted when I came out at the end of court one day. Jane said that she doesn't think that Diddy can ever get over the war that's going on in his head. Somebody that's coming from a mental health space, that tells me everything I need to know about Diddy. That is why Diddy is addicted to DRUGs. That is why he's addicted to these freak-offs and why he can't stop even after he's been indicted. It wasn't after he was indicted. But when his house was raided, when he knows that feds are watching him, he was still in hotels doing this stuff. Diddy has issues. Diddy has problems. Diddy has demons that he's dealing with. And yes, he has committed some crimes, and yes, he should do some time. But beyond that, Diddy should get some help. Even if he gets found guilty, not guilty, Diddy has a lot of things that are going on in his head, and he really needs a lot of help. And I do not take away the bad things that he has done, and I am not taking his side at all, okay? Somebody said Latinos support Diddy. Somebody said Sunny from Toronto. What up, Toronto? Bah, 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 bah. SGA won a championship I know it's for OKC, but shout out to Canada. Has anyone said you look like former Toronto Raptors James Johnson? Keep up the great work. James Johnson. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. No Nino Brown Diddy. That's hilarious. Looking good, beautiful man. Love your hair and your beard. Well, thank you very much, Rachel. Somebody said, okay, no, they're answering to Tish. Can you cover more civil cases? A lot of people have been saying that. I might get a little bit more into it. For those who don't know, I'm definitely not a lawyer, but I do have a pretty extensive background in law. I've been involved in a lot of cases. I myself have 6 or 7 lawyers. A lot of things I say, I run through some people that are on my legal team. So I do have an extensive knowledge. And most importantly, I love the law. I really, really love the law. So thank you for that comment. If people were given immunity to crimes on behalf of Diddy, such as using company accounts for private personal things, then how is Diddy not guilty when it was done under his influence? Hold on. If people were given immunity for crimes on behalf of Diddy, but hold on. They're not given immunity on crimes on behalf of Diddy. When you do a crime, it doesn't matter if somebody sent it to you or doing whatever. Bernard Paul was caught with DRUGs. That's his charge. It doesn't matter that it was Diddy's. It doesn't matter if Diddy asked him to hold it or whatever. It's not like, oh, this person is gonna get a charge because he told me to do it. They might get charged too. Like if you tell me to go do something at a bank, yeah, you might get charged too, but still the person, it's not on behalf. It's you do a crime, you get charged for it. And the prosecution at that point could decide to charge you with your crime or use you to get the bigger fish. And in most cases, when they don't feel you as like a career criminal, like how they didn't feel with Bernard Paul, they're like, what's the sense of putting him in jail for a year? He's not even gonna be a life criminal. We're gonna use him to get the kingpin. That's what always happens, all right? Good job, Free Diddy. Somebody says something, somebody is always adding Tish. Well, Tish is saying something in this chat. Somebody said support Diddy. Never knew what a jury will do. I think the prosecution will have a great closing argument. We'll see what the jury says. Yes, that is a very good point. And I said that a little bit earlier. You have no idea the painting that the prosecution is gonna paint. They're gonna take all 6 weeks and paint this canvas. Some lawyers call it building a brick wall. They're gonna take little testimony and brick by brick by brick by brick, and they're gonna build it up, and it's like, here, look at all of this. And they're gonna do it in 4 hours, and they're gonna paint a very convincing picture. However, the defense gets to do their same thing right after, and they build a wall and build a defense and get, Diddy looking like he's not guilty. Closing arguments are very, very, very important, but the bearer of proof is on the prosecution to have the jury convict him beyond a reasonable doubt. The jury is not allowed to have a reasonable doubt, or they must find him not guilty. Diddy will be pardoned, allegedly. Let's not even get into that. Somebody says, Tish is, anyways, we're not going to read Tish. A lot of people have been saying to ignore Tish, so I'm not going to say anything. You deserve an award for reporting, not just for this case. Wow, out louder. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Really, thank you. Trent, it seems like the unplayed the charges, and it's now has given a 50-50. Tasha and DJ out louder. Sorry, I don't understand this. Trent, it seems like the unplayed the charges. It seems like who? It seems like the unplayed charges, and it now has given a 50-50. I guess you're trying to say the charges are 50-50. I don't understand what the unplay is, but maybe you're saying that you were before against Diddy and now it's 50-50. I think that's what you're trying to say. You and your boy, again, who is this Tish Fell that's saying things in here? Let's just ignore whoever Tish Phil is and whatever he's saying. We're just gonna ignore it. Don't even answer that person anymore. It sounds like all her texts were when she was under the influence. Again, this is what I don't like about text messages, is that you're right, context. When did she write it? What was she thinking? Who was she doing? Blah, blah, blah. Maybe Diddy even wrote some of these texts. Maybe, who knows? I don't like this, but that's what the prosecution used, so the defense gets to use it back against them, right? Somebody said something about the jury. That's not true. But I can direct you to some. Okay, no. The defense will have a great closing argument. Not guilty on all charges, not even the Mann Act. Wow, Corey, that's a big statement. Not even the Mann Act? I'm not ready to say that yet, but totally respect your opinion, my guy. Sunny from Toronto, what up, Sunny? Somebody said stay hydrated. Yeah, I forgot about my water. Jeez, thank you, whoever said that. Hold on, let me give you some props. Oh, it went up too fast, I can't read it. Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's so warm. Ugh, that's friggin' disgusting. All right. Somebody said big up. I'd rather don't. Okay, I'm gonna have to skip because I'm in an hour and a half now. So let me skip right down to the bottom and take. Wow, you guys are commenting a lot. All right, let me skip down to the bottom. I'll take. Yeah. I was like, I still have my mic on. I forgot I'm still on live. All right, yeah. I did an hour and a half. I'm gonna wrap up. Get your last minute questions in. Somebody says, can you please grab your camera from a what? Somebody says, what? Can you please grab your camera for a Lamar Jackson edit? I don't even know what that means. Have you seen or heard any YouTubers claiming Diddy? I don't know what that means. Make sure, okay, blah, blah, blah. Somebody said Uganda. Trent, do a call in once the trial is over. Yeah, maybe we could do that. I have a question. Let's say the RICO case gets thrown out and he's not found guilty. Could he still, hold on, I want to read this. Not found guilty, could he still get charged for the other accusations? Or that falls under double jeopardy? No, there's different charges. So he can get found not guilty on RICO and they get found guilty on one of the SCX trafficking. It's all separated, and that's why they put charges like that. And like I said today, that's why they put a lesser charge, for example, like the SCX trafficking, the Mann Act. That is, if he gets found guilty, it's his first time. It's not like he had like 50, women downstairs in the basement. He'll maybe get 2 or 3 years. He'll probably get off on time served. So the prosecution will technically have a win. But really what the prosecution wants to get him on is they want to get him on RICO and they want to get him on SCX trafficking, forced fraud, and coercion. Always warm water. What? Always warm water is hydrating. No, not when it's out in the New York streets, man. Hey, somebody gave me a super chat. Thank you so much. I think it's Tangi Williams, sorry, my dyslexia. I'm gonna read this quick. I don't feel so for them because they, hold on. I'm gonna be careful what I'm reading on YouTube. Something about age to the lifestyle. 50s, no, okay, I can't read that. Sorry, I cannot read that. Whoa, I cannot read that. Sorry, thank you for the super chat, but I cannot read that. All right, let me scroll down for y'all get me in trouble. I'm in the courtroom, guys. There's a lot of this. I have to be careful. I'm not the, in you know, content creators that are not in a courtroom, they could say whatever they want. I have to be very, very careful. When somebody is a Jane Doe or when somebody's not privileged or something that can't get leaked out, I cannot say it. All right, guys, I am going to tune off. Thank you so much, Trent. You need a TV talk show. You're just that good. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. All right, guys. I am going to log off an hour and a half. We did it. I gave you guys a little bit longer because I couldn't even get out to do lunch. I've only had breakfast. I haven't eaten all day. Thanks for the super chat. I'm gonna go and get some food. Gonna get, I don't even know what I'm gonna get, man. Maybe get a burrito or something. I'm gonna get some fresh water, that's for sure. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate y'all, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Somebody said buy a burrito banger. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Don't forget, we'll be on tomorrow. Tanji Wilson again, thank you, said I don't feel sorry for them. All right. Don't forget, I'll be on tomorrow, not at my normal time at 7 a.m. Court only starts at 12. I'll probably be on around 10:30-ish, all right? I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'll be doing my regular podcast tonight. It will be up at around 11, 12 o'clock. You can catch it at night or in the morning on the YouTube page under video. We don't only cover Diddy. We also do entertainment, political, and viral news, man. I'll see you guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace. Oh, Tez, you were here too? Wow, peace.